Sing it, Stu.
It never gets old. You'd think it would.
You would think. You would think. Although
No.
my family really doesn't enjoy me going around the house with it anymore.
Well, that's all the more reason to do it.
I know, right? They haven't learned that lesson
They're
yet. If you show
just
you're
egging
annoyed
you
with
on.
it, I'm going to do it more often.
Right. Yeah. You've been married long enough. They should know better. There's no
That is
excuse for that.
absolutely correct.
All right. Yo, YouTube. Welcome back to the Wednesday Night Live. We've got some dueling stews and we've got Charlie here with us as always. How's it going, Charlie?
Good, good. A good week again. How are you?
Not too bad. I was just taking down like 8 sets of IKEA closets and hauling them outside. So that's good times.
8 sets of IKEA closets?
They were housing my Jordan collection for a long time.
Okay. All right.
And we retired those. I have a different display I'm putting up for my shoes. I may or may not have about 50 pairs of Air Jordans. And I had bought closets specifically for them, and we just don't like them anymore. They're kind of in the way, that's a lot of closets in a bedroom. So we were
Yeah.
moving when I moved my office down here, we switched um Bree's office, and Luna wants to move rooms, and we're doing a different guest room layout. There's all this stuff going on up there. And so that was one of the things we decided, but we had a buyer for them. We sold a
Okay.
couple of them. Actually, the buyer only wanted to buy one of them a few days ago, and then they messaged us and said, well, we'll take one of the other 19-inch ones. We're like, okay, we'll get that one down too. And then while they were at our house picking them up, we're like, well, we have a few more. And they're like, well, we'll take those too. And I'm like, no, that has to all be unscrewed. Putting together IKEA furniture is one thing. Taking it apart is also a thing.
Sure. Yeah.
And they're huge. They're like 9 feet. They go all the way to the ceiling, and yeah, it's a thing. You have to take them apart. I can't move them out because they go up to my ceiling. I can't even get them through the door. So, anyway, so we finished those tonight, and they're picking them up tomorrow. So yeah, we were excited that we were like, man, these are gonna be hard to sell. Who wants used IKEA cabinets,
Yeah.
But what we found out was, um, the people that are buying them from us, they had a few other ones already. I guess the wife collects handbags or shoes or something like that, and
Okay.
wanted these, and they don't make the color that we have anymore. So he was gonna just go buy more from IKEA, but they're all like white or this like country blue color, and we have like the more dark wood tone, um, color cabinets. So he's like, well, that's what we want. So we have to buy them used. So
Okay.
being they were half hour away and we had them, he's like, I'm just going to take them all. So coming to pick up the rest of them tomorrow. So I had to bust our butt tonight and get those down and out and get a good chunk of our money back. It was crazy. We looked them up when Bree went to go list them. I think I paid, I want to say like $1,200 for them when I bought them. Brand new in a box, had to put them together and all that. And I think now if we ordered those same closets with the same pieces, it was like 2,700.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was only like 5 or 6 years ago. So anybody who doesn't think the prices went up on stuff, look at something you bought 6 years ago and compare it to today, and it's that was shocking to me. I was like, wow, that's IKEA. You
Yeah.
would think that would be pretty stable. It's just wood, it's just glued sawdust. That's all it is,
Yeah.
you know,
But
with a
wood
veneer.
wood has gone up, so I guess sawdust would too.
So yeah, we were shocked. It was like, holy crap, there's no way I'd pay that for those. So anyway, enough about me and my furniture issues. So
Always fun
yeah,
and changing things around in the house.
it's kind of a never ending battle. I also have a Christmas tree up already. Weekend ago, we have 14 trees in our house, and we had to get a 15th allegedly. So,
Allegedly.
um, allegedly, so we redid some cabinetry in our dining room, and my wife wants a it's like white cabinetry, which we don't really have anywhere else in our house. So it it's kind of strange in a way, but it works perfect for how she does Christmas in there because she
All
does
right.
like a snowy village thing and all that. So she wanted a tree with like really good quality, the flocking on it, where it looks more like the icicles on it, not like the spray paint trees, where they
Okay.
just spray the white crap on it.
Yeah.
Um, those are fairly hard to find, and if you try to buy a new one, they're like $600. It's insane. So she found one for like 75 bucks or something. It was pre-lit, really high end. The LED bulbs, but it's the ones where you can control what they do, and then it also has the breaker built into them.
Okay.
I know those are really high end lights. I've bought those for another tree, and they're like $40 a strand. And there's 4 strands on this tree. So I was like, man, we got our money's worth right out of the lights. As long as they turn
Yeah.
on, we're good. So of course I had to put it together and plug it in and do all that. And then that was as far as I got. I'm like, I don't feel like taking it apart now, so it's gonna just sit there. Oh lordy. But yeah, we sold a ton of stuff out of the house, just moving things around, and got a bunch of crap in my old office I didn't want anymore. So got rid of some of that, and a bunch of action figures I'm listing. We're getting into that Christmas shopping season, so it's time to get a bunch of that stuff up and get it going.
Nice. That's not going to happen here.
No? How come?
No, I don't believe in anything Christmas until after Thanksgiving.
Well, I meant as far as selling stuff, like toys and stuff like that
Oh,
people
okay.
want to buy
Okay.
to give
Well, you're talking about
for
putting up a
Christmas, not
Christmas tree,
Christmas
so
stuff.
I thought more
Although a couple of years
decorations were
ago,
going
oh yeah,
to come.
fair enough. No, the Christmas tree was unintentional. It's an unintentional decoration that's sitting in my sunroom right now, so we'll see. We'll see if it ever makes it back to the basement. I don't know. I might just go. The dining room's only two rooms away. We might just move it right in there and put it in the corner. No one will ever see it.
Yeah, yeah.
It faces the backyard. So anyway, it's what it is. But kids start school on Monday, so Luna's excited
Yeah.
about that. We meet her teacher tomorrow night. We have conference we do a private conference every year with her teacher, just kind of go over who Luna is and what the teacher's expectations are, so we know, because your kids tell you some things and they don't tell you other things, so
Yeah.
we like to know
Yeah.
ahead of time of what we're getting into. And
I feel like this might be the first year I haven't really been a part of any of that. Um, it's weird because it's not this is like the third season of coaching high school football again. So practices like 3 to 5 every day. So I don't know how I ended up going to them the last couple of years, but this year I did not attend a single one.
yeah, it's I think as your kids get older, it's a little bit less important too. It's kind of on them to like get to classes and behave, and
Yeah.
when they're little, and Luna has a couple of things that she struggles with a little bit too, so we,
Mhm.
we just kind of want to make sure that try to start the year off as best you can, right? You know?
Yeah, that's true. I part of my portion of going to some of these pre-year conferences was I would share my oldest son's learning profile because he had some unique learning profiles and different techniques that had
Mhm.
worked over the years. So I would meet his teacher and go through kind of what some of those needs were and how he best responded to some of that, and it really benefited over the years. Like when we finally started to focus on, okay, what's that learning profile, and start sharing that, he started to grow by leaps and bounds in school. It was really impressive.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where the earlier you get to it, the better a shot they have of being successful.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, especially like subjects like math, where it just keeps adding on to it as the years go
Yep.
on. Well, if you don't have this, you're not going to get this. So, um, yeah. So anyway, we got a busy week. Piano lessons started up again. She had her first piano lesson tonight. She's doing like a palm and dance group thing, and then we have um club that she's in, and then scouts is starting, and what's the other thing? Oh, she has a tutor. for one of her subjects. I gotta take her over to it's a teacher at another school that's doing it, so I
Yeah.
had to take her over to that school after. So I'm gonna be doing a lot of mobile, card selling in the next, couple of months here. We're just kind of enjoying this last week and then getting back to the school
Yep.
grind.
And of course, we're going back a little earlier than normal
Mhm.
because
The
the
Packers.
NFL draft will be here in Green Bay this year, and
Yep.
that causes the schools to shut down for a week.
Yep, and from what I understand, and we still don't have, like, a firm confirmation on this, just some people that I know. I live by the stadium, so I know some people over there. I worked a block from there before, I started doing this career. Um, from what I understand is there's gonna be some kind of a card show or fan experience too. So we'll have to kinda see how that shakes out. We might
Yeah.
have to go down there and do a live show from there or something. I think that could be cool. Kind of a once in a lifetime thing. I don't know how it's gonna be a long time before it comes back to Green Bay, I would anticipate.
Yeah. Probably.
So we'll see how it goes. Something to look forward to. Speaking of card shows, we have our first card show in 2 weeks. Can you believe it's
Yeah,
only
it's
2
coming
weeks
up
away now?
fast.
The Goat Show. Yeah, September 8th at the Riverside Ballroom in Green Bay. Great location, lots of space, light, big parking lot, all those good things. Free admission, food on site, bar, everything you could want. Cards, of course, too. Cards also.
Everything.
Everything. Well, hopefully, I don't know. I guess I'm speaking for the dealers. That might be a little out of turn, but I'm excited. I'm excited to get this first one going and just get through the motions of it, get it completed, have it be successful, and then we can kind of move on with our plan from there. I've done a lot of these types of events before, and the first one's always the thing that throws you for a loop. So trying to get the first, there you go. Um, Getting that first one down is going to be uber important to lead into the next one and keep building on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
September 8th, 9. I'm sorry?
I was gonna say that first one, you get that one down, then you kind of have your roadmap, and everything kind of falls into place, and then it's just the oddball stuff that comes up here and there.
Yeah, or the little things you wanna add. We do have a giveaway. We've got the Randy Moss autographed helmet. Um, Actually 2 giveaways. I have a, 2021 Prism, football blaster box that I'm gonna give away. So,
Okay. Mhm.
you got Fields in there, you got, or is Fields 2020? No, he's 2021, right?
I think so.
2021. Trevor Lawrence, so nice, crop of rookies in there. I'm gonna give that out. Um, so yeah, we're kind of starting it right there. We're gonna have Cardboard Legacy there. They're gonna help you do grading submissions if you want to do that. They have some information about their shop down in Oshkosh, and so we're happy to have them as a sponsor. Um, a lot of good vendors, and we've had a lot of pump this last week.
Yep.
Um, we were at about a halfway mark, and then we cleared that. So uh, this next
It
week,
picks up quite a bit as you get closer, doesn't it?
yeah, I mean, and that makes sense. Think about it if you were setting up. You might want to see what other shows are being announced, and work out your own calendar. And oh, okay, the boy doesn't have baseball that day. I can go do the show.
Yeah.
Life is just has a lot of things. And I think before somebody really commits to it, they want to make sure they can actually do it. And it does cost you something. So, um, you don't want to put the money out until you're going to be able to do it. But I think going again, that helps too going forward when you do the additional ones. You should get a regular roll of dealers that like doing that show and want to return.
Right.
And it's a lot easier to book a show that somebody's already been to.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, so very exciting there.
Exciting times.
Exciting times. A couple weeks from now, so next week will be a fun show. We'll talk a little bit more about um, our first card show and some details of that, and make sure we get as many people out there as possible. Vendors, shoppers, anybody. We want y'all. Even just come by to say hi. It's
Yeah.
free admission. You can just stop in and get a burger and say hi. Had to wet the whistle. I just took down all those cabinets. So I stress hydration a lot at my house, so I better follow my own rules, I think. So that's kind of what's going on in our lives. Topics for tonight. Should we go over some topics? We'll
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what we've seen with Fanatics Fest. Neither of us attended, so this is all just what we saw in videos or heard from others, whatnot. Um, and then also a little bit about baseball and where that's at. Go Mets! I can't say go Cubs because they're staying home this year, but
111 days first place.
yeah. I mean, it really doesn't matter because they're going to lose in the first round like the Brewers always do. But
We'll see.
congratulations on having another good regular season.
We'll see.
Um, yes, we will. Yes, we will. Actually, when the Brewers are in, I'll cheer for the Brewers. I'm not that guy. Like, if they're playing the Cubs,
Fair.
no, hell no, hell
Fair.
no. But I'll cheer for the Brewers if my Cubs aren't in.
Fair. I was happy
Um,
for the Cubs when they won it.
yeah, heck yeah. I mean, that's they put a lot of effort and time into
I
getting there
I
too.
always
So
look at it like if you play in a division or a conference, even in high school sports, right? Like if one of your opponents that you played goes on to win a championship, that says something for everybody that
yeah,
played them, you know?
I agree. I agree. I played with soccer players who played on the Team USA World Cup team.
Yeah.
And I never made it to that team, but I wasn't gonna. I was like, I thought it was pretty cool that like I played with
Yeah.
players that played on the World Cup team. I was like, man, that's pretty sweet. So, yeah, nothing but love and encouragement for anybody who can take it to the next level because I know how hard it is. I sometimes I get mad at people when they're like, "Oh, you get paid," especially in the stands because everybody's an armchair quarterback, and
Yeah.
they paid their money for their ticket. That's fine. Shout whatever you want. But they'll say, you get $20 million to catch a ball and you drop the pass. And I'm like, dude, you have no idea what it took for that guy to get there. And
Right.
then and then and then the guy guarding him also went through all that. So like,
He's trying to get paid too.
right. So if this guy catches the ball, now that guy is the one, the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it's not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. And things are so fast. We kind of talked about this last week. I worked for the Packers for a while and I was on the sidelines. I mean, these dudes are like they're huge and they're fast and you can't see much of the field because there's so many bodies moving around and like I don't know. It'd be an insane and I'm speaking for football, of course, because that's my experience, but um yeah, those guys are in their paychecks and they get hit and screw that. And
Yeah.
their career is very short, so they gotta collect as much as they can in that short career. You can work for 40 years, 50 years and make your, smaller amount than those guys make per year. Now they're getting paid almost a little ridiculous amount, but back, when I was doing those games, they weren't. They were making, a couple million a year, which is not
Yeah. They often had a
completely
second job
outrageous.
in the off season.
Yeah, and when their career was done, they went and did something else. They started a company or ran a restaurant or, whatever. Um, but I digress. That's my soapbox speech for athletes getting paid. And think about it this way too, right? It's a form of entertainment. Um, do you know how much U2 makes in a year when they do tours?
No.
Like $40 million.
That sounds right.
So why shouldn't the star receiver in the league make $40 million in the year? Like,
Yeah.
why is that ridiculous? You're paying just
It,
as much to go see a football game as you are a concert.
to me it's just it's fair revenue sharing, right? Like these guys are putting their bodies through all this. They're away from their families most of the year. And then these owners are making, hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Well, sometimes billions. Why
Mhm.
why would the people you're making that money off the backs of get a 1% share? You know what I mean? Like They're
Well, and they did. The players had to fight for all that.
yeah,
There's a reason
yeah,
they have a union and they do contract negotiations and they'll hold out and they'll strike. And I think actually a lot of other employees can take a fair lesson from them that go fight for what you want. You don't have to just say, "Well, I'm just the wide receiver. I don't have any say." Yeah, you do. Don't show up. See how much money they make when the team doesn't show up, you know?
yeah.
It's true. It's very true. And those are not really players you can replace easily, most of them, So anyway, so let's talk a little bit about Fanatics Fest, and then we'll get to some chat. We do have some comments in here already. Um, so I watched a few videos on it. Some of the as um, Sports Card Radio would put it. Some of our hobby heroes were there.
Hobby Heroes.
That makes me laugh when he says hobby heroes. And the discount code of Will Grier, that makes me crack up too.
Yep.
Or
Greer.
Greer, however you pronounce that guy's name. Anyway, so what I got from it was Fanatics did put a lot into it. They all the major sports were there. They had awesome setups. There was all kinds of little fan experience things you could do. A lot of the big names were there. I mean, you had Tom Brady there, Jay-Z with the 40/40 Club stuff, and Lil Jon, I think, was there for a little while.
What?
You had a lot
Yeah.
right, exactly. And then you had a lot of other good star athletes and current players, which I think is more rare than you get at a card show. Usually card shows are retired players, right?
Right.
You
Right.
know. So well, Tom Brady's retired, but he's also GOAT retired, so that's a little different. I mean, can you imagine if they had Michael Jordan there? It would have been insane, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and Wayne Gretzky didn't come, and I know some of those guys were kind of pushed to attend this sort of thing, and they passed. Actually, Gretzky's still owned by Upper Deck, I believe. He might not even have had a choice, but anyway, um,
Owned is an
so
interesting way to put it.
well, I mean, basically, they sign a huge deal for their likeness, and they can't really do
Yeah.
anything without
License
their
with them.
permission.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they can walk the street and get a cup of coffee. That's fine, but you can't show up as Wayne Gretzky, the hockey player, somewhere and sign autographs. Like it's not it
Right.
doesn't work that way.
Right.
Um, and they're compensated well for that exclusivity, I'm sure. But anyway, what I gathered from it was there were some good experiences there. The card show was kind of like a normal card show, smaller, of course, than the national, but still good size. A lot of specialized dealers were there, a lot of higher end cards, that kind of thing. They were kind of going for that. Um, but the VIP package that was $400 was quite a bust. You got like 2 packs of Topps Big League and a lanyard and a coupon to get in to a special line to get a box of Topps Chrome baseball to buy a box of Topps Chrome baseball.
Yeah.
And no like special parking. There was, it didn't really give you much. So they have some things they have to work on. Now remember, this was the first one too. So I think overall for it being the first one and as much as something like this demands, I think it was very successful. I thought it was great for kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You could bring kids to the card shows, but they're probably even if they like cards, they're probably going to get bored after a little while. Versus this, they can go run the 40, they can go hit the hockey pucks, they can see all the belts and watch. WWE did a good job. They would throw wrestlers out there once in a while, have them walk down and just meet people. And um, Tom Brady was out on the floor. I sent you a video earlier of Tom Brady buying some
Yeah.
cards from a dealer,
That's
which I
pretty
thought
cool.
was pretty cool. So, I mean, he's kind of buying into it. He did a Topps Rip Night this past year, and he bought one of his rookie cards off a kid. I thought that was pretty funny. Um, so, him
Did the
getting
kid
involved
take him to
is a
the
good.
woodshed?
Yeah, yeah. He blitzed him. He thought it was third down, and it was really fourth down. Or no, he thought it
Robert
was fourth
coverage
down,
on
and it was
that
really
one.
third down. Yeah, right, right. Gronkowski took a card and spiked it off a table as some kind of a joke, I guess. So it's pretty funny. Um, yeah, there's a couple. They really they got all those big people there, autograph guests and all that. But then they also threw them out on the floor to sort of mingle with some of the people. They had plenty of security, to take some of these guys around, and I just thought that was really smart. It was smart to
Yeah.
include the actual athletes and have them experience some things with the fans, and that's what's going to change everything if you can get them to participate in it, because for a long time that was a big no-no.
Yeah.
um you look at cards from the 90s, and you had these guys dressing up as like Superman and doing stuff and putting monster makeup on and doing cards and doing Brett Favre with his cheese head on, and there is no way in hell you get any of those guys to do that in the last few years, right?
Yeah.
Um, so to now to try to change that a bit and say, hey, there's these hobbies because of you guys. You need to be kind of participate in that as well. So we'll see how that goes. How much that they got to be tossed some money, and we know how it all goes. They're going to be in it for something too, which I can respect that.
Yep.
Um, but I think that's what impressed me the most about this show is just the actual athletes kind of getting involved and um, getting out there and meeting some people. And because I experienced that a lot at Comic Con. So when I would go to like Star Wars Celebration, I was in the first one I went to was in 2012. I was in the Celebration store, and Warwick Davis was standing next to me.
That's
If you don't know
cool.
who he is, yeah, he was an Ewok. He was also Willow, or in Willow. I don't know, was his character Willow? I never seen the movie. Um,
I think so in the movie Willow.
he's
Yeah.
he's a little he's a small person. He's a small person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, we were talking about some of the items in the store to each other. Our party that night, Mark Hamill was coming just to do a guest appearance at our party, and he was actually next to me in the urinals, which was kind of interesting. Um, and you could get a lot of these actors and directors and producers and stuff. Dave Filoni, he would come out and hang out with us for a little while. Dave Filoni's basically the guy who runs Star Wars now. Big cowboy hat. I don't know if you know who he is, but if you look at the credits on anything that matters in Star Wars, he's part of it. So kind of the modern George Lucas, let's put it that way. If you were to
Yeah.
think George Lucas is Star Wars, that's Dave Filoni's now. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm comparing it to, and that mattered. Like they came out through, they would go through like our droid room and look at all our 101 scale droids that we built, and hey, that's really cool, and hey, can you make R2 do the beeps, and they were part of it. They would sign stuff, and
Make R2 do the beats. Come on, man. Make him do the
make R2
beats.
do the beeps and the boops. So I feel like, and now that's gone away from Star Wars and a lot of the comic stuff. Now that's not there, and it makes it not as much fun. So if it feels like it's going in the other direction with a lot of the sports stuff, and I think that's they're gonna come out way ahead if they keep that going. So what are your thoughts on just what you've seen, what you've heard, what you've read?
So, all right. Let me start with this. Fanatics is not a card company. They are a
Mm-hmm.
sports marketing conglomerate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, when you have something
Well, they do
called Fanatics,
merchandising too. They do a lot of
yeah.
merchandising.
When and do they own a card company? Yes. But that is not what they do. Fanatics board of directors is not sitting there talking about what new set of cards are we going to make. They are talking about how can we increase the fan experience and make money off of it, right?
Revenue.
Um,
Revenue.
yeah, yeah. So and cards fall into that, but that's not what Fanatics is truly about at its core, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
would say they are much more wrapped up in memorabilia and clothing, things like that, hats, jerseys, things like that. So when I look at Fanatics Fest, my expectation was not through the eyes of a card dealer or flipper or low end flipper, whatever you want to call me. It was, what is the sports fan enthusiast experience going to be like? And when I put myself in that frame of mind and I look at the things that were there, I thought it was a pretty fun experience. Like, if it were closer, would I have gone? Yeah, I think I for sure would have gone. So there was a lot of things to engage fans with players, past and present. There were, facsimile game experiences they could do, or athlete experiences they could do. Were there things they could do better? Absolutely. Like you said before, it's their first one. They're going to take things from this to add to it and take away every year. Just like for us card people, the National does the same thing, right? There's things they tweak year in, year out. Maybe not as much because sometimes it's kind of set in its ways. But most experiences, you're going to have that learning every year. And so for the first one, I thought overall the reviews I've seen were pretty successful. People were pretty happy with it. The negative reviews I see are more, in my opinion, were more from people who were looking for something different than they set out to build for them. So if you go into an experience, again, let's take the card hobby because that's what we're talking about here today. If I went to Fanatics Fest and I was like, all right, I'm looking to get some great cards here, that was probably the wrong approach to Fanatics Fest, right? I should have gone to the East Coast National instead, although I heard that was mostly vintage. So I think it's a difference in expectations going into the first one. I think because there wasn't one before, I think some people just thought, well, here's what I'm looking for, and I'm not sure exactly what they're going to have, so maybe I'll get lucky, and that's what it is, right? So I thought most people have been having some positive reviews from the videos I saw and the articles I read. I think I would have enjoyed the experience. Now, you've talked about the VIP tickets and not being much of a value there. I think that's a legitimate gripe. So yeah, there's definitely things they could have done better, but had I gone, heck yeah, I would have been doing that WWE entrance experience. I would have tried to get an autograph from some wrestlers because that's a passion of mine in my house. So I think it was a great experience, and one that I don't think you can get every day or every month or even every quarter at other places, right? So they put together something in the marketplace that there was a desire for, and they filled a void. And I think if you went at it with the right approach, you thought it was a success.
I think what they were able to do that no one else could do was have all those major sports in one place. So, because to me, I went to an All-Star Fan Fest when it was in Milwaukee a few years ago, and it was awesome. Like Louisville Slugger was there, and they had the food truck where they were making bats. You could watch them making bats, turning bats on the lathe and stuff. And you had like the company that made the bases, they were there and they would show you how they put the leather together. And like there was all the you don't see that. That's not a it was super cool. And then they had cards. I could buy cards. I bought a lot of cards there. They had, FanFest exclusive stuff, and they had some athletes were there kind of hanging out, mostly retired players, but and then some of every year for the All-Star game, they have that like the young players thing. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like the super young players who play their own little game. What do they call that? You know what I'm talking about, though?
I think so.
Like the Futures game, Futures or something like that.
That's what they call it. Yeah.
Well, they had all those players they had all those players in the Fan Fest, and actually Albert Pujols was there. Now, no one knew who the hell he was. I didn't know who the hell he was. This was like 1999 or something.
Yeah.
But of course he's a legend now. But So that's kind of when I was watching this and I was seeing these people go through some of this. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, oh, it's kind of like that baseball fan fest I was at. But I'm like, but dude, you could walk over and look at the NHL stuff. Then you could go over to the NFL, and then you could go over to WWE, and then non-sport, and then you could go over to UFC, and then you could go like that's unique. You're not going to see the NFL and Major League Baseball set up together anywhere.
Yep.
I don't think. Um, they had their big shop in the middle where you could buy all the jerseys and the fan fest, exclusive hoodie designs and all that stuff. They did have Montreal Expo Tom Brady jerseys. I thought that was pretty sweet.
Yep.
I saw those. Um, and Tops was there, and they had a special box you could buy where it had Big Apple refractors in it, and so there's a little bit for the card people there too, along with a smaller show, smaller, but it was still like 200 tables or something. Um, but yeah, I think you're right. You have to go into it with the right frame of mind. Now, me as a value box buyer, when I go to the National, that's what I'm going there for. I'm going there to get inventory. I want to dig through all these dime boxes, dollar boxes. I wouldn't go to Fanatics Fest to look for 10-cent cards. That's not the right place to do that. So
Yeah.
you have to go looking for the experience. I think it'd be great if you had kids, to take
Yep.
them. They could actually do stuff. Get them a couple packs of cards. I think that's kind of what Fanatics was trying to do. They were going, we'll get them here. We'll have them do the 40-yard dash, shoot a couple hockey pucks. Then they'll go buy a jersey of a player that they met, or they'll go get an autograph, or
Yep.
they'll go buy some packs of cards, or they'll go, whatever. Then it takes them get them into the world, and then there's all these things that Fanatics can sell you to stay into that world, to be a part of that world. So it's very smart on their part. I know they spent a ton of money putting it together. Um, I don't know what the autograph prices and stuff were. I meant to check, like, well, what does Tom Brady charge for an autograph at a card show? Because he's never done one before. He's never done in-person autographs, as far as I know. So
Yeah.
I'm like, what is it? What is it, like $500 for his? I don't know. But I didn't see people like complaining about autograph prices or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm guessing they were kind of in line with what you would expect, I guess. But
Yeah. And
yeah, I think it's good, and I think it's great for us as card people, because I think this is what cards needed, some support outside of just the same guys setting up at card shows for the last 40 years. We needed something with a little bit bigger setup, a little bit more professional, um, a little more exposure, not just in cards, but in the rest of the world of sports too.
yeah, and we've talked a little bit. Some of the negatives were just how much time you're waiting in lines, right?
Mhm.
Um, but then I think about that too, and I think about what this experience was. If you go to Disney or if you go to Six Flags, how much time are you going to spend
Mhm.
waiting in lines there? Because that's
Yeah, I don't go
really
there either.
a good comparison. It's a pure entertainment
Mhm.
experience.
Yep. And you don't have to stand in line at everything. Like, if you're like, I don't really want to shoot the pucks at the hockey goal, it's not that important to me, but I want to go down that WWE ramp with the video in the background, and I think you could choose your entrance music or something
Yep.
too.
Yep.
They made that, if that's super cool to you, you could wait 2 hours for that. That might be worth it for you, So I don't know how long the line was to do like the 40-yard dash and do any of that stuff, but yeah, you're right. It's like a theme park. You have to kind of pick and choose and spend your time and try to find stuff to do in lines. Like, lines aren't as bad as I remember when I was a kid and you stood in a line, there was nothing to do. You just had to stand there and look. Now you have phones, you have
Right.
like at a show like this, you could get a few packs on your way there and have some packs to rip while you're in line. You could bring up YouTube videos of other people going through the experience. You could take your own video, you can send
Yeah.
pictures. Like, there is
We
no
were lucky
reason
if
you
they had a
can't.
fan on and a TV playing someplace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um Yeah, we didn't, patience was so important, back in the day, and it's not as much now because there's so many other ways to fill that time. Um, but yeah, I think it's a good sign. I think a lot of people bought cards that maybe hadn't bought cards before, and that's key. They want to 10x the hobby. Well, you got to get people to buy cards,
Yep.
that don't normally buy cards, and this is the kind of thing that could do it because they're not, somebody who doesn't like sports is probably never going to buy sports cards. Like, I don't know how you're going to get a hook into somebody like that unless they're buying them for somebody else. But somebody who likes sports or likes a certain player or likes WWE, which really isn't a sport but has a fan base, a sport like fan base, boom, you can get them now. You can put
Yep.
them in a place where they would go to see that and then say, "Hey, cards are pretty cool. This might be something that you'd like as a keepsake. Buy a pack of WWE cards and the wrestlers are here this weekend and go get them signed," you know?
Yeah.
Um, so for what we do, I think it's a very important thing. I think it's a good step by Fanatics. They need to
I
work
agree.
on their packages and their access. Yeah, their access and things like that, but, though that can be a tough thing when you're doing a really big show. That's a hard part of the project to get right. Maybe they were hoping for a lot of sponsors for some of that stuff, and it just didn't really come through, so they didn't have much to put in the bags, and, um, hopefully they come out and they say, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna work on that next year." Don't come out and be like and just ignore the problem. Don't, address it head on and say, "Hey, we understand what we did really well here. We did some things really well, and we understand there's some things that we're gonna work on." And I think everybody would be cool with that. I think that's an acceptable answer. Alright, let's get to
Yep.
some chat. Everybody's heard us long enough. Man, we're 42 minutes into this thing, dang.
Are we really?
Alright, so yeah. Well, I had to tell all my IKEA stories. That was like 15 minutes right there. Good evening, everyone. Art Green has joined us. Welcome to the show. Joe says, "Good evening, boys."
Boys.
What's let's see. Dan is here. Evening all. Hope all is well. Going to watch while working the midnight oil. I love how people say they're working and then they're like watching TV and stuff. It's funny. I mean, I've done it too. I totally get it. What working burning the midnight oil. Sorry, my brain is fine. Fried. I think we knew what you meant, but yeah. Troy has joined us. Welcome, Troy. Good evening. Sorting and pricing my 500 plus baseball lot that I just picked up just in time as I ran out of baseball to list. Yeah, and that's kind of the way I do it too. I just got a big lot of vintage Star Wars in, and I just kind of look at, this is kind of going down, or I don't have too much of these to list, or I haven't bought any of these in a while, and that's kind of how I buy now. Unless I'm going through a box and you're just buying, it's random,
Right.
to a large degree, then you're just buying value. But if I'm looking for something specific, I kind of, I sold a lot of Derek Jeter and I haven't bought any Jeter in a while. Bought a big lot of that, or a big lot of
Who?
Brady, or some of those regulars. Exactly.
Not familiar
Um,
with that name.
by the way, he was there too, and the line to get he did a thing with David Ortiz, um, and the line to get into their it was like a venue talk thing, right? So they're
Yeah.
like on the stage and there's people just listening to them tell stories or whatever. And it was like 3 hours in line to get into that thing. It was crazy.
I believe it. That sounds about
Um,
right.
yeah. But yeah, I think that's a smart move, Troy. That's kind of how I do it too. Cause then you're really maximizing the value of your purchase because you're going to buy a big lot at a time and then you're going to list them right away. So you should get some sales right away out of them too.
Sales are good.
He said it was the biggest lot he has purchased. Yeah, for sure. And your lots will probably get bigger and bigger. I never thought I would buy, 35,000 cards at a time, but I've done that
Right.
twice now. So it happens. Let's see. Andrew is here. He says, "Good evening, guys. Have you ever used the option in eBay where you can list multiple cards in a set in one listing? I have not been able to figure out how to do this." I just talked to somebody about this earlier today. No, I hate it. And I'll tell you why. I did try to do it once, and it's a huge pain in the butt. First of all, to set up. It doesn't save you any time over listing cards individually. I don't feel. It does save you number of listings, I guess. So if you're going for that, it can help that way. But um, I don't like. I, as a customer, when I go shop for cards, I hate it, and I won't buy cards that way. You see, I look up the card that I'm looking for. It has the picture of it because it's part of that set. I go in there and pull the drop down list on, and the one I want is sold out. So forget it. I'm done with you. And I just
Yeah.
don't like it. So I don't do them.
It's I tried it once. I did it a little bit. I didn't see the benefit. I can tell you that here, let me share my screen. I might be able to tell you the piece that I find trickiest on it. So I'm gonna grab one of my templates here, Adam. You'll be familiar with this template,
Oh
1991
yeah.
Rock'em Rock cards. Um, but when you go, and I'm doing this on a desktop, it's going to be a little different on a phone. But see the little dots up here? You've got to go to your settings and turn on the variations, or you won't see them. That's
Hmm.
usually why most people have a problem finding it. But then once you do that and you go down here, oh, where is it in here? Variations. There you go. Then you'll have this variation section in there between condition and your item specifics. And if you hit edit, then it's going to let you add some additional attributes. And that's how you do the variations. So that's a very, very condensed lesson on the variations. But
To me,
as
to me, I
Adam
think
said, we don't really recommend them.
I think the best. You have to remember, eBay is for listing everything, not just cards.
Yep.
So to me, I think the best use of that is like, let's say I was selling a T-shirt and I had 10 different sizes I was selling. That's where you'd want to put variations in, right? Because you want that shirt and you need a small. So then it would be an easy way for you to go in, choose to take the drop down. And I do this in my Shopify store because I sell clothing items in there. And then you choose the size you want, because that's much easier than like doing a listing for the smalls and a listing for the mediums. Unless that doesn't make sense at all because it's literally the same product, just different sizing. Um, and I think people are used to shopping for clothing that way, right? You go to Amazon and you choose, a shirt you want to buy, pull the drop down for the size you want, or hit the radio button for the size you want, and you order it. So I think we're kind of accepting and used to that. But going in, unless you go in and delete the variation once it sells out, it's super annoying to go into that listing, pull down that list, and the card you're looking for isn't there. I do not have time for that. I don't want to be in somebody's listing if I'm not gonna like look at buying it.
Right.
So
What drives me nuts is just every time I go and look at one, the card I want is always out of stock. It just
that's
never
correct.
fails.
Yes. Yeah, because I'll look up Goonie stickers, right? And it's like, oh, great, the one-eyed Willie Goonie sticker. I need some more of those. And of course, the one that you want the most is the one everybody else wanted too, and it's
Yeah.
going to be gone, and I hate it. Um, so yeah, I don't feel like it saves you much time. The only thing it truly saves you is listing count, which unless you're close to your limit, I don't see why you'd care.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think the sales come out very good on those. From talking from other people who have used them, it doesn't really help sales. So I don't see the motivation to do it. I guess I would just list them and list your Ellie De La Cruz, list your Bryce Harper, and list your Jackson Holiday. And then when somebody wants a Jackson Holiday, they can go buy your Jackson Holiday and it automatically comes out of your listings. You don't have a sold out sign somewhere for that card because that's obnoxious. But Charlie's right. That's how you do it. You have to turn variations on. I think I must have turned it on a super long time ago because I don't remember turning it on. But
Yeah.
when I went to go do a variation listing, I didn't have any trouble setting one up. I just I didn't care for it. And I didn't like the process. And it's almost impossible to do on the app.
Yeah.
So I list, unless I'm using my scanner in my desktop or laptop, I'm using my phone to list everything. So I'm not going to go in the browser on my phone to do it.
Right. Yeah, and I actually had to go turn it on tonight to give you that example. Once I stopped using it, I turned it off because I didn't even want to see that section in my listings now. It's
Yeah,
just,
there's no point.
more time it
Yeah.
takes me to scan past it. But when I first started selling, I tried the variations because in concept, it was like, oh, that makes sense, right? But then sales weren't there, so I split them back apart, and I think I sold the cards that were in the variation listing in like 3 weeks then.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, that's not worth the time I spent setting it up.
And I do a lot of quantity listings, so for me, it's better to be able to go in and go, okay, well, I got 3 more copies of this card. I'll just increase the quantity on, as opposed
True.
to trying to go through all the variations to adjust that.
Yeah.
Unless it's vintage, then I list each of those individually. But if it's something that, um, it's a 1998 score where they all look the same, they're not off centered. The condition's pretty much the same. I like to just add, so you can save on your listings that way, but then it's easy to edit if you change quantity later on.
By the
All right.
way, little trivia for tonight. I know our viewers love it when I give some trivia, but you were talking about Warwick Davis earlier and he played an Ewok. Can anyone in the chat tell us the name of the Ewok he played?
Ooh, 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 ooh,
No, not
ooh.
you.
Oh,
Not you,
uh,
Mister. I
oh,
was in the Star Wars universe.
I was. I have an IMDb. Better recognize. We have producer credits. Yeah, he's a super nice guy. He MCs a lot of stuff. He's usually the host. As a matter of fact, Star Wars just announced a cruise, which I thought was kind of interesting. And he's
Really?
like the MC for the cruise. Yeah.
Is it going to be like Jabba's skiff?
I don't think so. It's gonna just they're trying too hard at this point. They need to just let
Leia's
it
going to
go.
be in a
Start.
gold bikini, and
Yeah.
let's see, R2 is going to be
The
serving
Acolyte
drinks.
Acolyte just got canceled.
Did it
Um,
really? I didn't hear that.
yeah. Yeah, it didn't get renewed for a second season,
That's
so
not what I want to hear because I want more. I enjoyed the Acolyte.
yeah, you might be the only one, so it's not coming back. Didn't get very good reviews, but yeah, so did anybody answer? I guess I should go down and look.
Well, I figured we'd come to it naturally in the chat
I
when it
think
gets there.
Okay, okay. Well, we'll worry about that when we
No
get down
need to
there, I
jump
guess.
ahead.
No need. Let's see, where are we? Oh, Bargain Boxer here. Bargain Boxer, of course, has joined us. Welcome as usual. I did an
Good old
experiment. I
double
bought a
B's.
blaster of Chronic. I bought a blaster of Chronicles draft picks at Walmart. I compared my $400 VIP bag from the Fanatics Fest. I wanted to see which one had more value. The blaster for the win. And you're not wrong, to be honest with you, because there was no like, even though you got like the VIP line for the Topps Chrome box, there was no discount. There was nothing in added
Right.
value there, and they give you 2 or 3 packs of cards. I think some people got like 5 or 6 packs of cards,
Yeah.
but it was all like Bundesliga top soccer, which is not going to have a big fan. And I think those are what, $18 for a box now.
Yeah.
They're so cheap. The year after Holland left, no one cares. Um,
Till the next guy
other
comes up.
than right. Uh, and then Big League Baseball, which is clearly the cheapest baseball product. That's cheaper than like
Yeah.
regular tops. And so it's like, what are you doing? Like you just, I don't know. That seemed very strange to me. As somebody who's put together VIP bags before, like I've gotten exclusive items from Hallmark, and like you can call around and get stuff for things like that. For a show like this, they should be able to get stuff. I find that insane that they couldn't find somebody who wanted to throw something in the bag and have a sticker with their company on it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
for
It
such
just
a
seemed really
big
weird.
event.
Yeah. Let's see. Here we are. Odd Merchants Vintage Sports Cards is here. He says, I got a better VIP bag at my dentist than the $400 joke Fanatics handed out. They should be ashamed. Yeah, that is clearly the one consensus all the way down the line of ripoffs. And that's the thing. It was 400. It wasn't like $20 more than the regular ticket. Then people would be like, well, I was worth my $20 so that I could kind of skip the line and I had a nice lanyard. And like, I think people would see value, but $400? I mean, come on. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Let's see. Joe is here. He says, Adam, are you considering going to Philadelphia in October for the non-sport card show? Not this year, but that is one that I would like to get to. Now, Joe, if you've gone before, you're the person I want to talk to because I've seen videos of people attending that show and it looks pretty small. I know they have like exclusive card, or at least they had in the past, they'd have exclusive cards of like card sets that they were trying to get produced, right? So that's why you'll see a lot of promo cards of card sets that were never made. And I'm super interested in, getting as much of that stuff as I can. But as far as like the dealer tables and stuff, it didn't seem like much of a show. So correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I was looking at the wrong things. But a non-sport show would be fun as hell, I think. Lots of cool variety.
And Philly's always a great destination. I love Philly.
Yeah, the only problem is that's far enough that I wouldn't want to drive it. Because it's like 12 hours, I think. 12 or 13,
Yeah,
something like that
like
for
that.
us. And I don't know about that. um So, but yeah, a non-sport show would be cool because we don't see much non-sport around here. That's, one of the reasons I go to the National every year. But a show focused on that would be pretty sweet. That'd be fun to pick some stuff at. Just sold a nice 15 Packer card lot. Awesome. It sounds like you guys are
There you
getting
go.
more into selling lots. I've been seeing that a lot more on the Discord, and I've been hearing that a lot more in like replies and videos and stuff. So I find that interesting that lot selling is becoming a thing again. And I think that has to do with just trying to move more inventory because there just isn't as many buyers right now. So that's a good play. If you've got a bunch of cards you want to move in one buy, that's a great way to do it. Especially
Yep.
if you're still making a profit on it. All right. Troy says, great video today, Adam. Thank you so much. Charlie, I'm disappointed that the greatest Yankee of all time wasn't included in your list for your video. He specifically leaves Jeter off, even though he qualifies for the list, just because of, the rivalry we have going on here with
Who I
Yankee
believe
great.
he was
Although
number
Mantle wasn't on the
21.
list either.
No,
Mantle
Mantle was
wasn't on
lower
there
than
either.
Jeter. Yeah.
So there you go.
Jeter got knocked out by Jackson Chourio.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me though. The top of the list should always be current players. Because it's just on topic, unless something else happens to a player.
And Jackson Holiday shot up the charts again too, so that had something to do with it.
Yeah, because he got called back up. Because I remember, when I would buy the Beckett magazine every month. Remember they had the top 10 hottest players or whatever.
Yep.
And for like 3 years running, Brett Favre was like number 1 on the list. It was crazy. And him and Barry Sanders would kind of trade spots, and like you'd never see, either of them on a top 10 list now, because it doesn't make sense. They're not playing.
Right.
Maybe in the off season you'd get one of those guys, moved up the list a little bit, but definitely not during the season.
There are all-time greats that I see on some of the lists. Like Griffey's always in the top 10 for baseball when I do my list.
True. Griffey is his following is similar to Jeter's that way, but I think
Nolan Ryan gets on the list off and on.
Okay, I could see that one too.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about Griffey is and kind of the same way with Favre. Griffey was a rookie in '89. That was like the peak of cards, right? He has an iconic card in the history of baseball cards with the '89 Upper Deck card. So there's just, as much of an impact as he had as a player and a person and all that in the league, cards wise, he's just that important. So I think he just constantly has a market, a booming market because of that place in history. Even Mantle, like you talk to kids now, they never saw Mickey Mantle play, but they know the
Right.
1952 Topps Mickey Mantle.
Right.
They
The
know he's
Bowman.
important.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, or the 51 Bowman. They know what all that means. As a matter of fact, what was I watching the other day? Oh, it was an Unsolved Mysteries episode. So I was watching some
Ooh.
yeah, a run of actually maybe it was one of the brand new episodes. Because there's a new season that just came out too. Anyway, I got in this Unsolved Mysteries kick. And in the episode, this guy had bought, he was a fraudster and stuff, and he took all these people's money in this pyramid scheme and he bought sports collectibles with it. So you know how they always did these really great reenactments, in that
Yep.
show?
Yep.
And he goes into this baseball card shop and he's looking in the case and he's like, "Oh, I want to buy that Mickey Mantle rookie." And the guy behind the counter, the sports card shop guy, heavy set guy, the typical
Yeah.
what you would have
Yeah.
shown as that. And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's a good one. I mean, he's one of the best baseball players." And so he pulls it out to show it to the guy from the case, and the price was like $900 for a
Yeah.
1951 Bowman Mickey Mantle rookie card. I mean, that's insane. It was in great shape. The whole ball of wax. It wasn't graded, of course, but because this was probably filmed in like 1991 or something. But
Right. Right.
uh, yeah, it's just funny. Over time, even an authentic graded one is like 15,000 or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
$20,000. So, one with nice color and all its corners and all that. I mean, you're looking at 30,000-40,000 minimum.
Yeah.
And it was $900 back then. But yeah, it's interesting.
Inflation.
It made me chuckle though yeah, well, that's part of it. It is part of it for sure. But the market on that stuff has definitely gone up too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where am I now? I'm lost. Here we are. Uh, Odd Merchant says small shows are the best. I like a 30 to 50 table show. I can figure out a dealer with just the way the inventory is displayed and the price tags or lack thereof. Most slab dealers, I move along. Yeah, dude, I'm the exact same way. Um, we are running an 88 table show. I know it's a strange count, but um, I feel like that's kind of the sweet spot size, that just under 100 table size show. Because a 30 table show can be great, but it can also be terrible for what I want. I could go into a 30 table show and it's all slab dealers. Um, Nobody has soccer, so I like to me, when you get towards that 75 to 100 tables, that's like the perfect mark that you should be able to find something there from some
Right.
dealer. Especially if you want to try to buy, yeah, especially if you're going to try to buy like bulk or anything, it's hard to find 30 dealers
Super
that,
small
at a
shows.
30 table show where you can get what you need for that. Yeah. So this is a question for Charlie because I don't really do this, but which WWE entrance would you do?
Well, I think that was open to everybody. So I would do an entrance. I was actually thinking about this already. I don't think they would have had this one available. This superstar is no longer in the WWE, but he was one of my all time favorites. Made a name for himself in ECW before coming over to the WWE. But it
I don't know
is.
what that is.
You don't know what ECW is?
No, I don't think so.
Extreme Championship Wrestling and Paul Heyman. Oh, you're missing out. You're missing out.
Okay.
I can see the disinterest in your eyes.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
But
I just buy the cards you and Ethan tell me to buy.
I would probably do Taz. He was one of my favorites of the modern era. Got the EKG heart monitor going, the 13 flashing on the screen. Then you got the the hook come in from Red Hook, New York. Yeah, he was a
Okay.
badass on his entrance.
Yeah, I don't know any of the entrances really of any of them. I kinda remember one. The only one I can really, well, I remember Hulk, "I wanna be an American," that
Yeah,
campy, rock Southern rock song or whatever. Um, I can remember, I think it was The Undertaker, where all of a sudden, like, you'd be watching the show and you just hear this deep bell, right? It was like,
yep, yep.
"Dong,
Mm-hmm.
dong," and I remember that because it was like, "Oh, Undertaker's coming out." Big deal.
Yep.
So that would probably be the one I would do because it's, like, the only one I kind of really remember. And,
Yeah, that's
I
like
always liked, my
iconic.
favorite wrestlers were, like, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'd play it for the chat right now,
Alright.
but I know you're monetized. I don't want you to get a copyright claim.
Right, right. I every week I have to scrape the video because they're gonna nail me on something and,
Dude,
yeah,
every time I
appease
put
the,
the Goat Show commercial in, I get a copyright claim for dubstep music.
Really?
Yes.
That's weird because yeah, because 'cause I've used that a bunch too, and I've never gotten a claim on it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It always says no
Hmm.
effect or whatever, but it does list it as a copyright.
Yeah, well, it means you can't monetize. So for you, it won't affect you, but it would matter
Right.
for me. Or it would be a copyright share. Most of the artists now they've gotten a little wiser to it, and they're like, "You know what? If we just share revenue, they'll still use the song." Because otherwise what I do is I just
Yeah.
replace the song with something else. So they
Right.
might as well get something out of it. So
It
let's
makes more
share it,
sense to me.
if yeah, if I like a song and I wanna use it, I'm like, "Meh, I'll take half the revenue for it on this one." I still created the content, you know? So, anyway, kinda think of it like a film, right? Let's say you made a movie and you used, some famous song in it. You pay the artist to use the song, right? But they don't get all the movie profits. You
Yeah.
see what I mean? That's revenue sharing, right? That's
Yeah.
or like your NFL team, right? They get all this money for ticket sales and jersey sales, they give some of it to the player, right? You share that revenue. You don't no one gets the whole check. And
Yeah.
that's what kinda like what these copyright claims are is that they're like, "Well, I want all the money," and it's like, "No, I'm not giving you all the money for the video I made. What are you, nuts? Just because your stupid song is in the background, played by some bar I was at? Like, that's dumb."
Right.
Yeah, I'm seeing more, when it does pop up, usually I get it at, like, show videos and stuff, when they're playing music in the show, and then, but now more now instead of, like, revenue canceled or whatever, I get the share request.
You know what's funny
And
is
sometimes I'll leave the song, and sometimes I'm like, "No, I don't feel like sharing the revenue."
so when I did the wrestling card liquidity list, which you probably didn't watch, I know you don't watch my stuff, so but I actually
Attaboy, I like it.
but I actually did the entrance songs for the wrestlers on the list, and I didn't get any copyright claim on it.
Nice.
I thought for
Well, and
sure if I was gonna get one, that would be there, right? Like I did almost the whole song of "I'm a Real American" for Hogan, and I got no copyright claim.
because somebody would have to claim it. If they don't post
Yeah,
out to claim, that copyright, then they're gonna let it go through because if it's not stamped, because it's basically all done by, like, a digital ID now. So all they have to
yeah,
do is, they stamp that whatever that music composition is, and then whenever it shows up, it just automatically claims the revenue. And that's
yeah.
why sometimes they get it wrong. Sometimes you have to send it back through and be like, "That's not the song that's playing." You
Now
know?
the other thing too is I was actually playing the YouTube video, so the WWE stamp is on there. Maybe that's enough acknowledgement that it doesn't trigger the claim. I don't know
Like, could be, could be.
because they
And
actually tell you
you don't
we're
get revenue, so they might not have cared. They might just be like,
true,
"Well, he doesn't get paid anyway." So,
but I know that the things I've seen, I'm not extremely experienced in producing content, but I have seen, the directions. Hey, if you're going to use somebody else's music or whatever, just credit it in the
Yep.
description.
Yep.
But I don't know if that avoids a claim or if it just makes it okay.
Nope. Nope. That's what they suggest when you're using allowed to share music.
Oh, okay.
Free. What do you call that? Not free rights.
Crowdsourced
Um,
music.
yeah, where they're giving anyone permission to use it, but they want credit for it. You're supposed
Credit
to give
for it.
them the
Yeah.
credit. I don't just because I don't know. I just don't do it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's what they're looking for instead of revenue. Did
I
you ever
usually
get the
just use
Pete Rose
whatever's in my
auto?
editing.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying too. I'm like, it's provided to me by the program as free music, so I just use that.
Yeah.
Did you ever get the Pete Rose auto at the National? I did not. I kind of regret that. I was thinking about that the other day. I was going to go back with because he was at the wild card booth.
Oh, was
Um,
he?
yeah, for a little while signing. Yeah, remember they told us that at the wild card booth. He was going to be
I don't
there at
remember that.
1 o'clock on Saturday or whatever it was.
I must have
And I'm
been
like,
too busy
oh,
buying their products.
yeah, probably. I'm surprised you weren't there when he was there. You were there every day. But I wanted an inscription signed by him, and I don't know if he does inscriptions or he charges extra for them or whatnot. But uh, I kind of wanted like a screw the Hall of Fame inscription on there. Or so I don't know, something fun from Pete Rose. I think would have
Yeah.
great.
I know he was on the roster of signers. I just didn't know he was at the wild card booth.
Yeah, yeah, just for like an hour or something. Who's going over to Wildcard? I don't know if he was signing stuff in person for them or what it was. But Wildcard told us and said, hey, come back see Pete Rose, and I don't know, was out doing whatever and never made it back there. But there's so much going on at the National. You cannot be at every corner
Yeah.
of that place at one
I
time. That's
learned
for
that.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Odd Merchant says he would do $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase.
Yeah.
Didn't he
That's
just
good.
pass away? I thought he
No.
just died, didn't
No.
he? Oh,
No.
I thought I saw that in the news somewhere.
Everybody's got a price. You don't
Yeah.
remember $1 Million
Acting,
Man?
I sure do. Acting at its finest. I remember the big dollar sign thing he always, yeah.
Yep. Yep. And he'd shove $100 bills in his opponent after he put him to
Yep.
sleep.
Yeah. After they would, yeah. I would do Shawn Michaels from 93, 95 entrance or Bushwhackers. Ooh, I remember the Bushwhackers. I don't remember their entrance, but
So
I
would you
remember them
get
doing their thing.
yeah, yeah. Would you come down from the ceiling like Shawn Michaels?
Oh, he does stuff like that?
He did like WrestleMania and stuff like that. He would do that, yeah.
Oh. Isn't that how that one dude died?
Yeah, yeah.
They were lowering him onto the mat and he ended up
Owen Hart,
falling or
yeah,
something?
the harness gave way or something like that. Yeah,
Jeez. That must have been a pricey lawsuit.
yeah.
Peyton Manning was 400 for an autograph. It's a little steep. I know. Ironically enough, it's funny you mentioned that. We were just talking about Star Wars before, but there was a convention in Chicago, a pop culture convention last weekend. Mark Hamill was there, of course, played Luke Skywalker, and he was charging $400 for an autograph for a flat, and then they charge for different items. And I'm like, difference doesn't make what the hell the item is. It's still the same
Yeah.
signature, but anyway, because they sell for more money, so they want basically kind of like PSA, right? When they grade your card, they want a cut of that value, so they upcharge you,
Yeah.
based on the card. Anyway, he's charging $400, and I can remember I have a few Mark Hamill autographs that I just got in person from him, and I think I only ever paid for one because I had him sign a trading card, and I think I paid $25 for his autograph. And it wasn't that long ago. It was probably like 20 years ago, but
Yeah.
to go from that to 400 is woof. But there's a lot of money in autographs now. That's the catch. And they're liquid. You just throw the thing on eBay and sell it. In New York, that's about $100. Okay, that's fair. That's a fair point if you're looking at the price of the market too. That's one of the other reasons I probably wouldn't go to that show is, I mean, hotels are insane there.
Yeah.
Um, even just finding a hotel, an Uber in New York is minimum $50 to go anywhere. Like it would it would be insane. Let's see. Meanwhile, local parks around the country, there are empty ball fields and basketball courts they can play on for free.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah. Yeah, I very rarely see kids out ever in my neighborhoods. We own our own park. My homeowners association owns a park, and um I'll see little kids there, right? Where mom and dad are like, we got to get this kid out of the house and put him in a strap him in a swing for a while. I'll see that, but like just the kids out there playing, it's pretty rare. Or out riding their bikes and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, we feel pretty fortunate. We've got a good group of kids in our neighborhood, and they actually will get together and ride over to the park together and stuff like that. Like not every day, like when we were kids, it was all every day, all summer, from the time you get out of bed until the streetlights go on. You were gone, right? But they'll go a couple
Yeah,
times a week. They'll all ride over there together.
I worry about and I just had this conversation with my daughter the other day, and she's an only child, so sometimes she's like, "Well, what am I gonna do if I go outside play by myself?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I did it all the time. Take your
Yeah,
soccer ball out there and work on that. Take the chalk, the sidewalk chalk, go draw stuff, whatever."
put in a
I set the
basketball
slip
hoop.
and slide up for her the other day. No, I took one down when I got here. I don't want that thing in there. All it
Why are
does is
you
go
an
off all your cars.
anti-basketball?
Bounces off your cars. No. And we have a basketball hoop, I think, down at the park, so they can use that. Anyway, um, but what I worry about is that, it's habit forming at this age, right? Like, and it's hard enough for us to get our asses outside, and that's all we did when we were kids. And I'm like, I don't know, what is their life going to be like later on if they're not moving now?
It's gonna be like the Matrix. We're all
Sure,
just living in cocoons.
living in screen. It's gonna be screens all the way around us, and that's it. There is no reality. I don't know. Let's see. I see somebody got banned in here. Interesting. Did you do
Yeah,
that,
I had
Kelly?
to kick somebody out. Yeah, yeah, we had a bad actor.
Oh, jeez. Ah, jeez. That means we're famous now. If we're getting people in here who shouldn't be in here but want to be in here, that's usually a good sign. So, good job there, because I wouldn't have noticed that. I'm glad you took it out. Someone just had a ratio. Oh,
Yeah,
you
that's
guys
the
didn't
guy
see
we
that.
kicked
Yeah,
out.
that's what we were talking about. Okay. Yeah. Apparently, Charlie took care of it. So I didn't look that far down the chat until right now. Andrew, with a $5 donation. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate you. That really helps the channel keep going. So, thanks everybody. And just a quick sidebar here: if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Charlie's channel. He's got his great liquidity list episodes that he pops up, and some um, acquiring videos, his pickups videos, and things like that. So make sure you go check out his channel too and subscribe there at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. And yeah, so tell others. We do a live show every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, and haven't missed one yet. Sometimes it's solo, but we've never missed one. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
trying to keep that streak alive.
So Max had a guess
What's
for
this?
the Ewok that
Oh.
that we had for our trivia question. That is not the correct answer, Max. But I knew you'd be the first one to put an answer out there. You're always a fan of trivia games.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that is not correct. I can second that. Max also says Ruben loves to prey on the FOMO crowd. Sure, that's it's all about hype, right? I mean, it's the same thing for just about anything. Um, there used to be a lot of that for movies. Now it's not so much because things get leaked early, and it's really hard to surprise somebody. But I can remember going to see a movie not that long ago, going to see a movie because there was going to be a trailer of a certain movie before it.
Yeah.
Like, how insane is that? You would never see that now. Now all the trailers are just pumped out on the internet, day one, and that's the end of it. Um, but yeah, they could get me to buy a ticket to this other movie in order to see the trailer of the movie I wanted to go see.
You
So,
might
well,
still
and you
do
could
that
also
to see
afford.
the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer.
Yes, that is a good one. And movies were a lot more affordable back, when
Yeah,
I did
that's
this
true.
too. It wasn't a big deal, but yeah, so yeah, FOMO is real. Let's see. New Jack is the best from ECW.
I don't
There you go.
remember New Jack's entrance. I'll have to check that out. Oh, yeah. Um, I'm gonna have to watch this a little bit later. Just, I have a feel.
Okay.
I have a feeling it's going to be extreme.
Oh, all right.
I
So
mean, it is
yeah, any of you
ECW.
interested, go look up ECW New Jack, I guess. Max says Taker. That's it. Dong dong. Yeah, that's all I remember from the '90s was that one and the Real American song for Hulk. I remember that
Yeah,
entrance too. It was always a big deal when Hulk was going to come out. Sandman. I don't know who Sandman is.
Sandman's another ECW wrestler.
Ah. Art says he'd come out to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hopefully they can supply some beers to chug while I climb the turnbuckles. I'm guessing no. Actually, I don't even think they had a WWE ring there. Did they?
That I don't know. All I
Yeah,
really saw
I
was
saw
the entrance piece.
the yeah, that and the octagon for MMA, but I didn't see anything for WWE. Keith is here. What's up, guys? As for wrestling entrances, I always enjoyed the Legion of Doom. Spiked shoulder pads were awesome. I do remember them. They had the red. It was red, right? Red with the spikes coming out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Road
They did
Warriors. They
face
just
paint.
had to
Or
change their name when they went to the WWE.
okay. Sandman smashing beers along with smashing open his forehead entrance to enter Sandman was awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
I can picture that. I definitely know the song, the Metallica song, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Animal from Legion of Doom's son is James Laurinaitis,
Yeah.
former Nagurski Award winner and Pro Bowler for the Rams. Okay. Oh, you guys know your wrestling stuff.
Hey, there's a
I
big
think he won
following
the.
for wrestling. They just don't buy as
Oh,
much cards
I
as
get
I'd
it.
like.
I get it. Well, it's your job to change that.
I know.
I think he won. I think he won the Nagurski, but I may be wrong. He was an elite player for Ohio State.
Yep.
Okay. Remember following his career after realizing this was Animal's son. Pretty cool. Let's see. I would have a few shots of tequila first. Afraid of heights. Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't do that either.
Bo is
Ruben
here.
is my god. I worship him. Oh, Bo. I only know two other Ewoks. He wasn't tall enough to play the one, and it is the other. Looked it up already. Was ready to say Gringotts. Banker from Harry Potter. Never watched more than 5 minutes. Jeez. Lucasfilm, right? Lucasfilm did all the Star Wars, of course. Anybody in here who hasn't joined the Discord, I highly recommend it. Great combos and lots of help, info with eBay, selling, etc. Thank you for that. Yes, we do have our little ticker running at the bottom there. Discord, I think that's our permanent link. Sometimes if it feels like it expires on us,
I
so
refresh
if
it
it
every
doesn't
week
work, let
now.
us know. Do you? Oh, Charlie,
Yep.
you're so good. What would I do without you? But yeah, go ahead and follow that link. Or if you just go to Discord, look up the Dollar Box server and you'll find us there. We have some good channels created. I think we have uh it took us a little while to build it, but I think we have a pretty good spread of channels now where you should be able to find conversation anywhere based on what you're looking to do with low end card selling, especially is of obviously the highlight or the theme of our Discord server.
Yeah, I
Let's
haven't
see. I only
haven't been as active out there of late just because with football I'm a lot busier right now, but glad to see that there's no shortage of conversations out there that every week more and more people are engaged in it, and it's become what we envisioned, which is a community helping each other.
Yeah, we've learned a lot from you guys. Hopefully, you've learned some stuff from us and learned from each other, and that's all part of it. And it's evolving. There's always something new going on. So,
One of our Discord
Matt.
members actually had a whatnot show yesterday too. Asol
Mhm.
Cards, I believe, is his screen name. And
Yep.
I went out there to support him a little bit. Bought a few like '94 Topps Finest basketball from him, or somewhere in there, mid '90s. So yeah, he had a good show there, and always good to see people trying new things.
Yeah, I think, and I've tried the whatnot, so I respect anybody who's trying to do something new and different. It's good to round out your business. I think to find some other channels. I really want to do some eBay live. Haven't had really a chance to look into that yet. Maybe once the school year gets going here, and I don't have the other extra stuff on my plate. Um, but I think that would be the place that I would want to do it over whatnot. But whatnot is certainly um, a viable place to sell cards. That's absolute. Max says he only watches sports, not wrestling.
So that's a fair comment. I actually so with my categories on eBay, I often wrestle with the decision, do I put wrestling in non-sport or sport?
I usually go by what Car Dealer Pro recognizes it as, and it does recognize it as sports.
It does, yeah.
So I list it as sports. But yeah, it's kind of. I mean, you can sort of look at it both ways. I can see it coming from either direction.
So it's an interesting question, like what is the definition of a sport? Because wrestling is an athletic event, but it's just a scripted outcome, so it's not pure competition, right? So do
Right.
you have to have pure competition to be considered a sport? I mean, I feel like we could probably talk a couple more hours just on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's. I don't think you're ever going to come up with an answer because it's kind of both, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could consider it a soap opera. You can consider, it's a lot of things. So it's a skit. It's I don't know. I mean, there's a lot going on there. At least there was. I don't know anything about modern wrestling, but I watched a bit in the '90s and stuff, Saturday morning stuff, and yeah, it was very entertaining. That's for sure.
Oh, Bo knows. Bo knows.
ECF and W.
That's right. So extreme.
GNFR. I always had GNF and R. You know what that is?
Yep. Yep. Guns
Guns
and
N'
effing
Roses. Yeah.
roses.
Yeah. Couldn't wait to get home from school and watch AWA wrestling. Is that another one? There's another one? AWA?
AWA
I don't know what
is
that is.
is old school when there were still the regional ones. So that was out of Minnesota. That was the Gagne business. That's where Hogan got his big mainstream start, and then WWE poached him away. But you had
Okay.
guys like Greg Gagne, Jumping Jim Bronzel was over there. Baron von Raschke was over there, I think.
Mhm.
I don't. Was the Crusher there too? Some of the old school wrestlers that when we were kids we heard about. So they were a top organization when it was the regional territories, but Vince put them all out of business.
Yeah, he was a pretty shrewd businessman and definitely got his way. At least at the time. I don't know where he's at now, but
Jesse Ventura started off over in AWA when he got big too. So,
and then he became a senator or something, right? Or governor?
Governor
Governor of Minnesota, I think it was.
he was a governor of Minnesota.
Yeah,
Yeah.
governor. Yeah.
Well, I think Nick
Yep.
Bockwinkel was over there. Kurt Hennig, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All those names you don't know.
Nope, don't.
It's like you talking to me about soccer.
I do remember Jesse the Body Ventura. I don't know why,
There
but
you
I
go.
do. That name does. I do remember that name. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, cool. Well, you definitely have some wrestling pals on this channel, so that's good. I'm guessing you guys don't tune in to watch me for the wrestling content because you're not getting it. So go to Charlie's channel; he'll give you plenty of wrestling content. Max says he's just giving you crap. Charlie, wrestling's probably a sport, athletic, and etc. Yeah, I don't. I think Charlie's right. I don't know what the exact definition of a sport is because you don't necessarily have to be athletic to be in a sport either. Look at like NASCAR. That's not athletic.
You have
You know.
esports.
Yeah, you got right. Esports. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if somebody was like, "Oh, the sport of wrestling," I wouldn't be like, "No, that's a non-sport. What are you doing?" Like, I
I
think it's
mean,
acceptable either way.
we like to play in the 90s, so I'm going to throw it back to a famous saying, things that make you say,
Pretty much. All right. Max says, I can't believe the whole thing with Vince was basically swept under the rug. Ooh, drama.
Yeah, it has been
What happened?
pretty quiet. Oh, Vince got himself in some trouble with some ladies, and it's he was taken off the board, and then he was back, and then it flared up again, and so now he's gone completely, and basically the family is not as prominent as it used to be either. I think they've taken a little bit of backlash from dad's activities as well.
Well, I mean, is anybody shocked by those activities? I don't know.
Not really.
I mean, I'm not. Yeah. Doesn't he still own the WWE though?
I believe he has handed over everything. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
to family or
Yeah, I mean, so they
corporation?
became a public stock option corporation years ago now. But he
Got it.
was the chairman for many years, so he is no longer
Mhm.
the chairman of the board.
Doesn't matter. He has his shares and he can cash out
Yeah,
and he's good to go.
yeah.
So, let's see. If it wasn't Vince, it would have been Vern or Jim Crockett. One of the promoters was going to be successful at going national, and Vince was the guy.
Yeah.
Does that
Or
make
Von
sense
Erich would have
to
loved
you,
to have
Charlie?
done it too.
Yeah, I don't know any of those people, but obviously Vince was the one who found the way. So Jim Gagne, I think that's how you pronounce that,
Gagne.
Gagne owned a bar in Fall Creek, Wisconsin. He had a ring in the back and held matches.
Yep.
Who's Jim Gagne?
He's one of the famous Gagne clan. They're so today you hear about the McMahons, you hear about the Rhodes family, but the Gagne family was wrestling royalty at one point as well.
Okay. Interesting. I learned so much tonight about wrestling. I didn't really think that was coming, but I heard about it. So
It
we
wasn't
have a
on our
couple
list
other
of topics.
topics for. No, exactly. Hold on one second here. I'm gonna get to my list. I'm way off track now. All right, so we were going to talk like baseball playoffs and where baseball's headed. We got um, preseason football fully underway now. What do we think? Where do we think we're at with sports and cards, and what should we really be focusing on?
Yeah, I think no doubt football's really heating up again. As we get closer to kicking off the season, preseason games are in full swing. In fact, I will be going to the Packer game this weekend with the family. So I think football is heating up. Baseball is still kicking. I wouldn't say baseball is necessarily fallen back because now we're starting to have the pennant
Right.
races heating up. I mean, unless you're the Brewers, because then you kind of have things locked up already. But there are still some divisions that have a pennant race going on. So yeah, I think baseball and football are the two strong markets right now. You're probably restocking for basketball right now because I think everything has died down from the basketball season. There's not as much interest there right now, unless you're chasing that Steph Curry, LeBron, Durant autographed card.
You know what's funny about that card is why is Durant on it?
I know, right? No,
Why
I
didn't
mean,
they just make it Steph and LeBron and be done with it?
no disrespect to Durant. He's been a star in his own
Mhm.
right, but he's not quite at the same level, right?
No, it feels like fluff. Like it. I don't know. I just thought it was an odd choice. Like, okay, you're gonna make the first ever LeBron and Curry dual auto, and then you put him like, I don't, I don't get. I guess I haven't read the back of the card. Maybe there's something that matters with those three together.
Well,
Um,
they're just on the same Olympic team, right? That's
well,
all.
yeah, right. I get that, but there were other players on that team too. Why isn't Anthony Edwards on there, or
Because three's the
whoever?
most you want on a card.
I okay, I sure we'll go with that.
They're like,
I
we got
think
to
what
find
would have
one
been
other person. Who can we get?
I think to do it as a booklet would have been cool, where you'd have all of the players on there.
Yeah,
That'd be a pull of a lifetime, something like that. Maybe that just wasn't attainable for whatever reason, but let's see. Um, Roadkill says I love that football's back and basic names are selling like Bo Nix and Eric Gray. I actually sold a Bo Nix while we were doing this show.
yeah. Looks like he's
Um,
going to be the starter.
yeah, and I think the cards are really gonna fire because of that. I actually ordered some more Halloween score today too, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
rebulk on some of those rookies. I've sold quite a few, so um, Bo and the other Bo, the Bo Jackson one, flew off the shelves too. So
Okay.
um, at least out of my store.
Yeah, I'm selling the goats out of it. So Barry sold right away. I sold some Jerry Rice, stuff like that.
I didn't pull a berry yet, so that the set
No.
is huge.
Yeah.
The set is huge. I bought 2 packs because I'm like, man, that's like 230 cards. I should get a set. Not even close. It was like, when
Yeah.
you look at, because it's basically 2 designs. So it's basically 2 300 card sets, to put
Yeah.
together between the pumpkins and the bats. Um, it's not hard to get the rookies because there's 1 per pack, which I thought was a smart move by them. Because when you're giving them to kids, that's what they're going to want, right? They're going to want the
Yeah.
hot rookies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was, and you're right. I sold a bunch of the goats, like Marino sold. I sold a
Yeah.
Purdy. Um,
Then I
what's
sold
the other one?
every
Oh,
JJ
Bo
McCarthy
Jackson.
card I had. I think I had 8 copies of JJ McCarthy, and the same buyer bought everyone.
Bought
Some
all of
Drake
them. Yeah, it's good.
Mays.
It's good to have quantity for stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I sold Brock, was it Brock Bowers, I think?
Yep.
Uh
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of them I've sold. They've done pretty well. Bo Nix, like you said. I sold a Johnny Manziel today.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, why the hell is Johnny Manziel in this set? But
Right.
Johnny Manziel stuff sells, man. Like, don't sleep on Johnny Manziel and Ryan Leaf. Those are good cards. So, but yeah, I love the design. The value is, you get so much value for a small price. You're not going to hit anything big, but if you're buying retail, you're not going to hit anything big generally anyway.
Yeah.
Um, it's just solid stock, and I mean, a card with bats on the border, hell yeah, I'll take that all day long. I don't care who it is. The other thing I love about cards like that, and I kind of talked about this with you, Charlie, just through messaging. Um, they bring people to the store. You're not going to make a fortune off of that, but if they're going to come to the store to buy the Bo Jackson Bats border card, they'll buy a few other Bo Jackson cards, or
Right.
some, at least enough to try to hit the coupon or something like that. So I just like it for that draw. It's a very small capital investment, on my part. Unfortunately, you can't. They're not in Card Dealer Pro, of course. So it takes you a little bit more time to get them on there. But you should be able to just sell similar and just keep going through them, and it
Yep.
goes pretty quick. Um, but yeah, great little product to start the season off. You can get a ton of rookies for hardly any money.
It's kind of
You can sell
reminiscent
them.
of Big League for baseball, right? Like it's a cheaper, fun product, kind of kick some things off.
Yeah, and I mean it's even cheaper than Big League is,
Yeah.
because there's no inserts or anything like that, really.
Did you get
Um,
any numbered cards?
I did not. No.
Yeah. They got to be a
Oh,
really hard pull.
they're a pretty tough pull. So, and they should be when you're paying $22 for 100
Yeah.
cards. You're probably not going to get a lot of numbers. I can't even imagine how many packs of those they made. If it's anything like the Pokemon, um, I know it's a different company, but the Pokemon Halloween packs every year, there's hundreds of them,
Yeah.
in the store at a time. So, but I had to order some extra ones too because I actually want a pack that I can hand out to kids.
Hmm.
So, and I ripped everything I had. So I wanted to order some more to rip, but then I wanted one that I can actually hand out. So I'm going to take one of these packs because I don't know if I'll be able to get them again. They seem
Right.
pretty popular. Like, I can't get them in the store at all, so I've had to buy them online. Um, but I'm going to take a pack this time and throw it aside so I have them for Halloween. I think it's smart. I think if the more things we can get into the kids' hands, the more it helps our hobby too.
For sure.
So, let's see. And Max says, yeah, focus on selling your football for sure. Football's doing pretty well. I've sold a lot of basketball recently, which is kind of interesting. Um, I mean, Jordan always sells, but there's a lot of Curry. Right after the Olympics, I sold a ton of Curry stuff.
That makes sense.
Um, yeah, so I mean, I, I, I think there's always a time to. Ironically enough, I haven't sold a ton of baseball during the baseball season this year, which is sort of weird. I feel like I did better last year,
Because all you have is
and I have.
Jeter.
I have more this year. I've sold a lot of Griffey. My Griffey sales have really picked up, but I bought a lot of Griffey, whereas I didn't have quite as much before. So that I kind of write that off as like, well, yeah, if you only had 10 listings, you're not going to have 100 sales, right?
Right.
You have 100 listings, and you should be able to do better than the 10 sales then. But anyway, yeah, it's been kind of interesting that way. Probably sold more Acuna than anybody else, which is weird because he's out for the season.
Yeah.
Um, and then prospect stuff, that I picked up before the baseball season kicked off and that. But yeah, so you just and you have to know what your customer base is. My customer base is largely football. I sell a ton of football cards all year long, tons of Brett Favre stuff. I can't imagine. I don't think there's ever been a day where I haven't sold a Brett Favre card
Yeah.
since I started doing this. And granted, again, I have a lot of listings of Favre stuff and good Favre stuff. Um, but that's, I have customers that's what they buy. So stock what your customers buy, not what everybody is telling you to buy. Then baseball, I'll be buying basketball. Yep. US Olympic all-time scorer. Who is? Kevin Durant?
Might
Is
be
he playing?
KD. Yeah, because he's been in a lot of them.
Okay. So that's how he earned his way onto the card. I mean, I guess that makes sense. That's how I feel about Curry on the card too, though. You don't think Curry should be on it? Okay. KD is also head and shoulders above anybody else on the team talent wise. Hobby wise, not as much though. So I guess I looked at it as like a basketball card. It didn't. It seemed like
Yeah,
a odd choice to put it into the hobby that way. What?
confirming Kevin Durant is, as of this Olympics, has become the USA's leading scorer in Olympic history.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then. That's yeah. That would be why he's on there. Uh, where are you buying Halloween Score from? My Walmart doesn't have it, so I've just been buying it online because I try my WalMarts too, and even if it says they're in stock, I get there and there's the little display box on the shelf, and they're all gone. So, anybody notice that eBay's description using AI always says that the card is the original licensed reprint? Yeah, you have to remove original or reprint out of your just answer that question with nothing. Don't have
Yeah,
anything in there.
yeah,
Um, yeah, we noticed that super early on when AI first came out. Then we were struggling with that, and you just have to take original or reprint out of the specifics in the specific
yeah. Just
section.
don't answer it.
Yep. Who's more hobby relevant on the team than the three on the card? I
Out
don't
of
know.
this year's Olympic team.
Yeah, I don't even know who's all on the team. I know Anthony Edwards has pretty good hobby, at least from my sales, but he's a young player, so that's probably part of it. I Curry and LeBron for sure would probably be the top two. And I mean, there's a fair argument to say Durant is three, and that's why he's on the card. I get that. It just, I don't know. It seemed like the highlight of the card was the first time ever to have a Curry and LeBron signature together. It's like, why even put Durant on there? Um, but yeah, I guess if you're a big
Yeah,
Olympic basketball collector, it would make sense to have the three of them on there.
I looking at the roster, I would have a hard time picking someone else over Durant. There's a lot of younger players. Embiid is in there, but I don't think he
Mm.
passes up Durant.
Yeah,
Um, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards. I don't think either of them pass him up yet either.
yeah.
They could before they're
Well,
done.
oh, well, you could have just made the card with the two players on it. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Not that Durant needs to be replaced. Just that I don't know. It just seemed weird. Like I'm like Curry, LeBron, Durant.
yeah.
Just looking at it from the hobby aspect. I don't watch basketball. I don't know anything about these guys other than hobby performance. Um, but yeah. Let's see. I don't think anybody else on the team fits. Honestly, I think you're just stuck on the first time Curry LeBron combo, but that's a perfectly good complaint to be honest. Yeah, that's and if when they're making these cards, they're probably going more off of like the baseball and the story or the basketball storyline, right? That they put on the card. Like, oh, this is the maybe LeBron was the top rebounder in Olympic team history, and maybe Curry's the top 3-point shooter. So they put that's why I said I haven't read the back of the card. If I could read the back of the card, that might help it make more sense too.
I'll let you
Um,
know when I get it.
like, oh, if this is the top rebounder and this is the top right. I'll never see you again if you get it. You are not coming back on this show if you get that card. um, yeah, I would just like to know like why were those three players chosen? I get that they wanted to put a LeBron and a Curry auto together. Like, don't I don't I think that they're well aware of the cards that are going to be the big draw into ripping big products like that, and they put it out there specifically for that reason. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
To have a chase makes sense. but I just felt like it was like, well, okay, well, you could have put this Chase out there with Durant without Durant. I don't know that Durant is the draw, I guess, to that Chase.
I think when he became the all-time USA basketball leading scorer, I think then they felt compelled that whatever we do has to represent Durant as well. That would be
See,
my guess.
to me, what would make the most sense is, okay, he's the top scorer, LeBron's the top rebounder, and Curry's the top 3-point shooter. Okay, now that makes sense, like putting those top 3 category players on a card together. And that might be the case. I don't, like I said, I don't know. I've never seen the back of the card. I don't know what it looks like, but yeah. So either way, it's gonna be a pretty big card. I don't really buy cards like that, or I'm not in the market for cards like that, so it doesn't really change the way I operate. But yeah, if I open a pack and I pulled one of those, sure, I'd be very excited about that. There's definitely going to be a buyer for that card. I don't know. There's a bounty on it too, right? What is it?
Yep.
Like 100,
Yep. I don't know if there's
180,000
more
or
than
something like
one,
that.
but I know Jeff Wilson put one on it.
Yeah, of course he did.
Of course he did.
Yeah. I don't know. People who spend other people's money, that kind of annoys me sometimes. So, and I get it. That's how you build something. You get investors and you do this and that, but it's like, I don't know. So, let's see. What else did we have for our topics? Hold on. I'm going to pull them up on my phone. It's easier than trying to jump around.
I was going to say, that was 2 hours ago. I don't remember what we discussed 2 hours ago.
I don't remember what we talked about 2 minutes ago. So, tops, football, baseball playoffs, and then potential shipping issues.
By the way, good break here to give the answer to the trivia question. So yes. I know you were very eager, Adam, since nobody got it. Do you want to give it away?
Wicket
W. Warwick. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think it was a nice touch that they used Warwick's name in the Ewok's name.
Yep. Yeah, he was a great little Ewok.
Ewok.
He must have been sweating his ass off in that thing. As a guy who dresses up as a Wampa for fun, it's not fun when it's 100 degrees out, and they were on that.
Yeah.
They were in I can't remember where they were. They were in that forest in California.
Yeah,
in the middle of summer,
California or Oregon or something.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who've gone to the film location, so it's not super far away, but yeah, it's a redwood forest somewhere in California. So
that's probably the one I've driven through, but I never had the fun that the Ewoks had in there.
No, it was a teddy bear picnic for sure. So
yeah.
Anyway, should we? So the Topps football product. Did you see anything about that yet?
I have not. We talked about that composite. A lot going into the national, the Topps product, and then of course they didn't have anything there, and I haven't really heard anything else.
Yeah, so there's a couple more pictures out. It's called Topps Composite. So it's basically their answer to Chronicles, I guess would be the best way to put it, because it's a bunch of different Topps brands through one pack, but it has the Topps Chrome looks like the baseball Topps Chrome, where it's kind of that black and neon sort of design, which I did like. I like the baseball design this year. So it's based off of that essentially for the Topps Chrome portion of it. It might be the Topps base portion of it too in there. So those are kind of like, those are the stars of the show, right? There's going to be some finest stuff in there and some other things, but the two main would be your Topps flagship and your Topps Chrome. That's football cards. It was always about Topps Chrome rookies and all that, back in those 90s years. But Caleb Williams has signed cards. They showed a picture of a Caleb Williams signed card. So I think the key there is going to be, you're going to have access to all the players that you need to have access to. They did a pretty decent job, at least a few cards that we've seen. Did a pretty decent job with the Photoshop, because obviously they can't use the logos and all that. for this year. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I think the price point was a little bit high. I think what was it, like $299 or something like that? Three
Yeah,
or
something like
four
that.
ninety $4.99. Um, hold on a second here. And it is not available yet, obviously. You can pre-order, of course, for 4,700 for a case. I think it was like, might have been 369 is some of the eBay prices. I can't remember what the actual retail was. $599 a box. That can't be right. Oh, that's the Breaker's Delight box.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they have the regular boxes on there yet. Regular
Are they
box
on
is
the
three ninety
Are they on
nine.
the top site now?
No, I'm looking on Dave and Adam's
Oh,
card
okay.
world for pre-orders, but they're going to be like right at, you know,
Yeah.
price, or maybe a few bucks higher, but they have 399 on there. So the boxes are fairly pricey for, what it is, and basically an unlicensed product,
Yeah.
or an NIL product is maybe more appropriate, because they do have licenses with the players, for the autographs and stuff. But I'm excited about it. It's good to see some, Topps products coming out there. They showed some of the basketball chrome this past week. That looks nice. That, again, that was it. When in the 90s, if you wanted basketball rookies, it was either Finest or Topps Chrome. That's where the brands you had to buy the rookie cards of. That was the market standards to have. And then there was SP, and there was, some other brands and stuff out there, but those Topps products were still key. It'd be nice to have those back in the market for us to participate in. I'm more excited about like the Caleb Williams auto fine, whatever, but I'm more excited just to have like Topps Chrome, you know, base cards of players and stuff. You know what I mean? I still get excited when I grab a handful of, base cards out of a quarter box, and I see
Nice and
2002
slow.
Topps Chrome, and yeah, I mean those are nice cards. They're just nice. Um, so it'll be exciting, I think, to get some of that back in the market. I think we could get some buyers back in that maybe left the market for a while.
Maybe.
That didn't like the Panini products, or just wanted something to be more excited about than Prism, which was kind of the standard now for a few years. So it'll
Yep.
be interesting to see, where that goes. And yeah, obviously Fanatics being in the game, trying to get new people in as well. Having some new products will be to their advantage. It'll allow them to put, like, there's these eras of cards, right? So the very early years of cards were Bowman, right? So you had, you know, the well, Play Ball and those brands and stuff, the early cigarette stuff. Then Tops, kind of took over, and you had the long run of, it was always Tops. And then, you had Fleer making the awesome 90s insert stuff. And so you kind of like each era kind of has a stamp on it of what cards, were important.
Yep.
And, those 90s were those Topps Chrome products and stuff. Then, Panini came along, they got all the rights. Then now it's been Prism, for the last 15 years, 20, maybe not quite that long, 10 years, something like that. So it'll be nice to see if that can change. Um, Personally, because I'm not as big a fan of Prism as I am Topps Chrome and Topps products. So it'll be interesting to see if people are like, okay, well, because we don't even know what Panini's plans are. Are they still going to make cards? Um, are they just going to go with unlicensed stuff? Which I'm guessing they will, because they've done okay with like baseball products and stuff
Mm-hmm.
being unlicensed. But and is anybody going to want to stick with the Prism if it's unlicensed, or you're going to switch to the Topps Chrome as being your main, steady rookie card that you have to have every year, and then
Right.
having the parallels and the one of ones, and we can go back to having super fractors, being the best rookie card, and things like that, which you haven't seen in forever. So I'm pretty juiced about that. How do you feel about it?
Well, I wasn't really into football cards when Topps last had products there. So I don't have the memories and the emotions maybe you have around it. Um,
Sure.
but I have always been more of a Topps guy than a Panini guy. So a chance to bring it back over to Topps is exciting to me. I will definitely be looking to find, some way to get my hands on some of it. Um, and hopefully that becomes a long-term standard again. Because I would love to see it all on Topps. Panini, like, I don't know, to me they always felt like um you know when you're a kid and you're like, oh, I really want those Transformers, and then your parents brought home the GoBots or whatever. That's how fair or not fair, that's a lot of times how I felt about Panini.
I'm the exact same way. I actually
Yeah.
like most of Wild Cards products better than Panini stuff that they put out.
Yeah.
There's a few exceptions. They have a couple of really nice high-end, products. National Treasures has always been a good one, stuff like
Hmm.
that. If you get into the big dollar stuff. But yeah, as far as like the run of the mill, I really like Chronicles. I think Chronicles has been a super underrated product for a long time, just be due to a variety, and
Right.
um,
Right.
it's not hard to find a Trevor Lawrence Prism base rookie card, but it's hard to find a Trevor Lawrence base Prism black card that was
Right.
only in Chronicles. So I actually feel like, a lot of the cards are more rare and look cooler and things like that. Um, so that product I've always been a pretty big fan of, and the price point was nice.
Yeah.
You could get those, you could get blaster boxes of those and stuff. But yeah, I just the products are so underwhelming. Like Mosaic is the design is so boring, and it's the same thing year after year after year after
Yeah.
year. And I
Well, and can they get
understand
a
that.
handle on the parallels too? Do I need 150 different parallels in a set? I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
yeah, and they never stated odds or print runs.
Hmm.
Topps has always been not totally transparent, but they've been better about it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I don't know, and especially the last couple of years, it really felt like just a money grab from Panini. Whereas I
Yeah.
think for a while they kind of cared about the hobby because they sort of had to, because it wasn't as the sales weren't as easy, when they took it over. But um, yeah, I'm really excited for Topps to take those reins. I think it's a good time to do it. I think the hobbies come back to more of the collectors and building that kind of a base. And I want collectors to build on Topps products versus Panini products.
Right.
'Cause I think it's better products, better value. Prism every year, it's the same design. They're just silver chrome cards. They don't really do anything with the color. There's no like etch design to the player, which Topps Chrome always did a good job of that, making it almost look like it's etched into the card. Um, I believe the paper is better. The quality is better as far as like not getting dimples in the cards, and Panini has a lot of production issue stuff, and some of it is tradition too. Like when I was a kid, I bought Topps products.
Right.
That's what you bought, and it's like, Panini. Panini sells stickers for albums,
Yeah.
as far as I knew, for as a kid. I bought I bought Panini products when I was a kid, but they were Ninja Turtle stickers for my sticker book. Um, so I'm biased somewhat that way, just from my own. prior collecting experience and my nostalgia for the hobby. But yeah, I think Tops will be able to do a good job with it. I think Fanatics will give them all the tools that they need to have to be able to. Ooh, my battery's running low. Um,
Whoa.
we'll give them everything that they need to have to be successful, and hopefully that's the case. So, all right. The only other topic I had, and actually I think I'm going to save this because I'm going to make my own video on it. I'm going to talk about like shipping issues and returns and filing PIP claims and doing all that kind of stuff. We talk about it quite a bit on Discord. Um, I've never really made like a video on like the whole what happens after you ship experience. I've done, how to pack the envelope and all that kind of stuff, which is not that complicated. I'm sure most of you have that down by now. But yeah, kind of an after and how to handle some of that. I think that would be a good video, especially for, excuse me, newer sellers.
Yeah.
So I think I'll save that for that time. Is there anything you wanted to add or anything else we should cover?
No, I think that's pretty good. I'm actually reaching my bedtime here in season. Tomorrow we got a big day, our very first game, and not one, but two. We got a double header tomorrow against two different teams. One we have film on, one we don't have film on. So I don't know how that's going to go. And then Friday night kicks off the varsity season for real. So next 2 days, my evenings are pretty packed, but having a good time with it. So I think I'm good for tonight.
Are you guys going to be any good?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna score
That
a lot of
helps.
points.
That helps.
The best defense is putting 50 points up every game.
Really? Yeah, I would say that's like a Division 1 college team, right? That's
and I think there's a good
50 every week.
chance that our offense throughout the system could potentially be that good.
Why do you think that? Just all around
Just
talent
from
or
talent, the focus on the offensive side of the ball throughout all levels from varsity down to middle school. These kids have been running the same system for years. It's really impressive, fast tempo. So it's gonna be like the Rams in the 90s.
Oh, the greatest
Yeah,
show on turf.
90s, 2000s. Yeah.
Nice. A lot of sprinting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome. Well, good luck to you. I hope you have a great season, and we look forward each week to getting a rundown on how things are going.
Yeah.
Um, hopefully it'll be a little easier on you with player situations and things like that too. Um, at this school.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that'll do it for us this week. Don't forget to join us every week, Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, where you can hear all my stories about IKEA furniture. Um,
And I can
and
talk
the other,
wrestling.
and we can talk wrestling, which I know nothing about. I can listen about wrestling. Stuart the Goat, of course, will always be with us. So we don't want to leave him. We kind of leave him out of the show once in a while. I feel sort of bad. We've gotten so
He's
used to him just
older.
being
He has
there.
to pace himself now.
He's like takes naps. I think he took a nap. He just woke up now. Good for him. I could use a nap myself. So, all right. Well, we'll see you next week. And any other parting shots?
Peace out. Take care of each other.
Remember, you can't sell what you don't list. We'll see you again real soon.